This may be of interest to anyone who likes sailboats, because these are the big sailboats. There's only a few of them left, maybe a total of about 20. They come from the late 19th century, and they're usually maintained by the naval organizations of the various countries. So you have Argentina's in there, even though they only have a little river, the River Platte, leading out to the Atlantic, but they see themselves as a great sailing power. And there's Denmark and Sweden and Norway. The U.S., of course, is there. England, France, Italy, they're all there. Russia also has a boat in the operation, and I think they're about a total of 20 when you add everything up all together. These were shot from the Hudson River, looking down from an apartment we had. We were really on a neighbor's balcony who happened to live across the hall from us. This is looking down at the street level. We were about 20 stories up, and we were able to see the boats as they passed in front of us. It was a pretty overcast day, so we didn't get to see a lot of what was happening downriver towards the city, primarily because it was just so overcast. So we got what was passing in front of us, and if we have some sharp-eyed nephews and nieces, they might be able to identify the boats by the flags in their sterns. There was very little wind this day, so the sails are flat, but once in a while they do catch some wind. They're under power, as we say, and the only one I could spot for sure, that may be Denmark, I don't know, is the United States boat. And all the rest have these, tricolors on them, and it's hard to confuse. You could confuse Mexico, which may have been in there along with Italy and France. It's red, green, and white, or red, blue, and white, and they didn't have much variation. But you get some idea of their size here, and of their beauty, and of the different ways they can be rigged. For those who know sailboats, the two boats who just passed are rigged completely differently, with your sloop rig sails. Those are the sails that are like a modern sail. And this is the long range. This is what it looked like from our place. And this, I think, was the boat with black sails. I think it was from Russia. They were very menacing. This was still the Cold War days. And you can see a little bit. Now, here's one that has the old sails, and I don't even know what they're called, but they're just for downwind and offwind sailing. You really can't sail upwind very well. That's the one from Denmark. You can tell their flag is always easily recognizable. The thing that amazed me is that it's still one hell of a job controlling these sails. Sailing in the old days, if you think being on a modern boat and you're watching the guys go crazy trimming the sails when there's only 2 or 3 sails on, you imagine what you're doing with 30 or 40 sails, trying to maintain them in harmony. And on this narrow river, these boats are big, so to do a jibe or attack on these is an operation. I think most of them took the wise path out. I think the Russian ship with part of their jib sails up. You can see that, or they're sometimes called staysails. But I think they kept the motors on. That there was the guy from Germany who was just, that may be Italy, I don't know, just somebody tell me. I remember the German coming up under full sail and jibing or tacking down at the end by the George Washington Bridge with no power. So he just wanted to show the other boys how it's done, and he did. That was a big ship. If he ever screwed up, he's on the rocks. It's pretty narrow there for these ships to make their big turns. Anyway, this is again just looking across the river from where we were. You get some size of the little boats that came out. I wished I had brought my boat out. I don't know why I didn't. I guess that I threw a party and I wanted to take pictures more than sail, to get my Hobie Cat out there and to sail along. But you'll see some little boats pretty soon come out. You can see the size of the boats there in the back. Those are all about your 20-foot boats. These probably range somewhere around 120 feet. Here's the U.S. That's the Coast Guard Eagle, which is really a snappy-looking boat. It was taken from the Germans at the end of the First or Second World War. So it's already almost 100 years old. It was an old boat when they got it from the Germans, but they've kept it in pretty good shape. This again, I don't know what that boat is. It's a kind of Stucky-looking boat. They didn't put the sails up. Now, when they came back downriver, there was a breeze coming down from up around the Hudson, and so that you could actually see the sails kind of puff out. So they probably went upriver, and here's the Goodyear blimp. It's everywhere, and these are the two the ferry boats at the base of our place that were converted to restaurants. That's Art Lair. He's a friend. He's Pauline's brother-in-law. Married her sister Nancy. Looking out, I bought some really high-powered binoculars. They're about 120 power, and if your hand trembled a little, just a little bit, you couldn't see anything. Here's a little boat with a spinnaker up, coming down the river. Give you some idea of its size, and there's another smaller one next to it. And they may get a chance to pass one of the big ships now. That was the big deal. You can see one of them next to it. This is, I think, Margaret or J.D., and this is what they look like on the terrace looking down. And here are the terraces. You can see the people are pretty well up there taking a look at what's happening. And it was a great vantage point, basically, to see these. And, of course, everybody was out. You had the old ladies and you had the young girls. They were very snappy. And here's Art and J.D., and they're out on the terrace and looking through the binoculars. And I guess they were still in high school at the time. And then again, here you can see some of the folks just taking a look at the boats. It was quite a day. That whole celebration was really something. I may have some pictures somewhere of downtown Manhattan, which was really fabulous the way it was shut off and done, all wrapped up in ribbons. And this looks like the Russian ship. If I remember, the black sails were Russian, coming back downriver. They put their sails up once they got up to the George Washington Bridge. Here's some of the smaller boats that always accompany this flotilla. They're not small themselves. They run about 50 or 60 feet. And you see one of these guys out with a spinnaker coming downriver, and the Russian ship coming up next to him. They're probably going to shoot him out of the water. There's a tug, which is a good 40 to 50 feet long, so you can get some idea of how big these guys are.